We saw some great looks from Pulsar in the first time that they had a performance on Celestial Husk. So can they replicate that going into the series? We'll see how they do against Team Peps.
Oh, like that. We already had a map 3 in our first series. I could see this being the same way. And if I could cope, because I always got to have my daily cope, El Chapagoob's Wolverine, I think, looked very strong on Celestial Husk. A lot of good places to tackle people off the map on, depending on what round you're in. But that's the big wild card, the big question mark on this team for me.
All right. It's going to be Elsa as our first one here. Question is, are we going to see these teams pivot into the Gambit, which is what we expected from our previous two teams, but they did prefer the Mantis Ultron. It definitely seems like Pulsar is going to be going for the El Clasico here with Gambit on the table. And this means that maybe later on in our bans, we're going to have to consider something like a Rogue being taken off the table, because that team up is very powerful. And unsurprisingly, it's going to be a Loki taken away to avoid double Raging Royal Flushes.
Oh, the Angela on Domination is going to be something I can't wait. A big bright point on this Team Peps roster is always going to be Frankie for me. And I know we love to just highlight the duelist every day and night, but an Angela diff here could make all the difference. And tackling versus tackling, when you got El Chapagoob baby on the Wolverine, Frankie on Angela, it's just tackle central. But someone like Pink, I think, has such an interesting hero pool and could even bring out something like the Torch, which has been popular on Celestial Husk in the past.
Yeah, we have seen Pink absolutely do numbers on that one, especially against a team like Na'Vi, who are running a triple strategist into it. It's going to be one-sided Gambit due to that priority protect on the Mantis. But we have seen this come back to bite teams before. Team Peps definitely are angling for something a little bit more akin to an Ultron Mantis here. Would not be surprised if we see Ultron Protect. Oh, it's going to be the Vanguard Pool Protect. This is interesting. Now, Pulsar for their last have to figure out, do we want to get rid of a Mantis? Do we want to get rid of the Ultron, rather, to stop that Mantis Ultron double boost? Do we want to try and get rid of the Jeff or the Invis, which could be a great pocket for Pink up in the sky? Or maybe you just try and get rid of the Johnny himself. No, Invis is going to be the one off the table.
And no Star-Lord for Pulsar, which means that Pink, we don't even ban the Torch, because I don't think anyone is worried about the Torch. We don't worry about what happened last series, okay? So I'd love to see Pink back on the Torch, because they were able to force a 100-99 loss against Na'Vi, but to push a team that good to the edge, just off of, again, these niche picks, that's what is really exciting about Team Peps. So Pink won't be able to fall back to the Star-Lord, though, so if the Torch doesn't work out, good luck.
Yeah, it might be a little bit low on those. You can see here the deliberation. It is going to be the Rogue ban taken off the table, knowing that Rogue is going to be quite dangerous with the team up given over by the Gambit. But for a while, they were hovering over the Daredevil and the Wolverine. Like, how much do we want to try and constrain the Chapagoob here? How much do we believe in the El Chupagoobra, the biggest mythos for Pulsar Esports here? And we are going to see Chapagoob able to access that Daredevil, and really going to see how much it brings to the table. In pro play, Daredevil does have a specific advantage of having perfect information within a certain radius, which is very good when everyone is on the same page for how you're going to execute your dives.
Okay, so Pink will be able to have the Star-Lord as a backup, and I just can't wait to see some more Torch, because this has been so niche on maps like this one, and even other maps that we've seen. But more triple strategists, and there's so many variations of it, whether you can have the Mantis. I think that there's a more defensive flavor when you have Adam that can go for more of those revives, but we'll see what everyone ends out with coming out of the gates. Looking at a strong dive here for Pulsar, but more of a melee style. So not the Wolverine that we've seen El Chapagoob play in the past, but something that could maybe have some more pop-off potential.
3, 2,
all right, Team Peps, so just going to use the Jeff Bubbles to roll out, I imagine, and then swap over onto the Mantis. Maybe that's going to be the primary healer here on the Luna as a strategist. It's going to make her a little bit more vulnerable to a dive from Chapagoob and Kizaru. I wouldn't be surprised to see her swap over onto a White Fox when going up against this Daredevil.
And the poke from Sapatik. Don't worry if he doesn't have Elsa, because man, does he deliver on that damage when it comes to the Phoenix. First, that presence here from IMLK. Look at these Deadpool bubbles to maybe kind of act as of like root walls. You know, you section off some of this healing and have some staying power on this objective. First, you're seeing Pulsar try to get this cap first. You have Kizaru ring around the rosy, seeing who he can collapse on. No focus on these Vanguards, but hoping to pressure this high ground as Kizaru goes in and gets, oh my god, frozen.
Yeah, developed angle here from Sapatic as well, but instantly gets poked out. You can see how low they are. They were trying to find a way to move off the back of that frenzied arrival from Kizaru. But for now, just focuses on MLK. Any miss is going to be severely punished here due to the skill issue. Ultimate being sent on out. It was upgraded, yes, but the damage is easily managed. Out goes the skill issue on the other side. Treeman, make sure that Pink is going to be found in the stink right now. And Frankie Boxing looking after the Daredevil. 1 HP to play with, and the stab is good. Frankie Boxing just going to be able to keep this one contested for a long time, and the Deadpool just can't stand up to the half-winged angel.
Frankie Boxing can do a lot of work on this Angela. We'll get a 4K if you let him through it. He's bringing all the sheep to a herd and to the firing squad of his own team. Frankie's as impactful as ever and could even bring the Venom as his passive gets activated. But hey, we have 6 getting activated.
Protoss in a bad position there. Couldn't quite get the healing from 6. Was instead focusing down that Tila. Still Chabagu moves in towards the back. Wants that strategist and has not lost track of them. Babybat and 6, both to full. Pulsar Esports should be able to convert here into a capture, but boy, it's taken its time here.
Chapagoop, I'm already seeing some better brawling with the rest of the teams, able to stay nice and close. Of course, Kizaru will be able to feast upon the start of this next fight. Hopefully getting an activation here from Proto to get the Mantis Resurgence, to get some extra kick for Team Peps, to maybe just overwhelm Pulsar. But don't forget, of course, the Torch ultimate. But we're going to have the Deadpool kick things off.
An early 3-man dive. Chabagu sent down to a briny depth by IMLK. Those dual Desert Eagles really getting it done. For now, Treeman doesn't really want to try and deal with Pink. Legend seen up top. A hot drop onto him perhaps, but no. Instead, Pink looks elsewhere. Wants in on to the Jeff the Land Shark. And indeed, that's some flash broiled shark meat right there. Sabatic next to fall on down. Team Peps, despite being caught with that early 3-person dive, were able to rebuff it quickly.
Yeah, there's only 2 strats from the Pulsar side, so when you have Pink being able to pick off the Jeff so early, there's so little healing that's left, and then you only have so many cards in your deck for Gambit, so too much on Legend to carry through. Proto, great. Soul Resurgence now being able to defend is going to put this Angel in a fantastic position to maybe force Pulsar's hand before they're ready, but Kizaru is already showing his hand being on the point first.
Kizaru demands a little bit of attention. Knows that the Deadpool's vision is, of course, based on movement, and Treeman's falling real low here. Needs to get back to some manner of healing. It's going to be Legend who's responsible for that one. Kizaru going deep into the back. Quick disengagement to feed over the ultimate charge onto the Gambit, who's still yet to get their first ultimate. It's about to come up. The Raging Royal Flush could be everything, but do you want to use it without Sabatic? Chabagu's already been frozen. Oh, taken down before Legend can even deliver on the Gambit's ultimate. This could be a huge amount of Pulsar's resources, which aren't really getting anything done. 6 chances it all with the Rage of Ultron. Yes, Kizaru's able to stick around long enough to get rid of Protoss, but can they get anything more than this? At least forcing something out of the Luna. Frankie Boxing needs to be high up in the sky to avoid being eaten, and that's going to be nothing grabbed off the back of It's Jeff. A double stab in towards the back, and a nice little Raging Royal Flush to get away. Yes, Treeman still remains, but Team Peps are well in control. Sapatic rolls in with the Phoenix, and Frankie Boxing gets awfully close to it, finds one of their wings singed off temporarily, taking to the ground. Now has to move in, trying to keep this one contested, and El Chabagu is going to be in desperate danger.
Almost Frankie able to deny that escape from the Daredevil, and Team Peps, I mean, great patience on the fate of both worlds to extend this fight. Already at 90% plus. It's do or die for Pulsar.
Kizaru feasted the Abyss. Who's it going to be placed upon at the moment? Certainly El Chabagu going to be wishing it came out a touch faster. Nice flicks from Protoss. We've seen some nasty Mantises today, and we haven't even seen level 1 Crook play just yet. Sabatic can't stand up to be a raid fire that was coming on through, and despite Lapsis Otilas' floundering and flailing with fins in the air. The surrender is not accepted, and only a casualty is found in its place. A portal opened for a quick recontest. El Chabagoob's going to be the one responsible for that, but they're debarking the portal straight into a pyro prison. They're out of a frying pan and right into the fire. Lapsis Atilas finds himself flash fried again, and nothing can save them because Legend was too far away. Kizaru up against the well. Oh, a quick ice fall onto Tree Man. Chill out, bro. The round is over. Team Peps take the first.
Kizaru just doesn't have a good target to dive. His day is being ruined. He's either getting frozen, he's getting slept, he's getting tackled by an Angela. You just can't get anything going with this Venom. And then Team Peps, the people that would be diveable, are up in the air, and Pink is being completely ignored, able to rain it down on the only two strategists that Pulsar have, and Jeff needs to ideally be out of water in order to be impactful. So you really can't get an umbrella against someone like Pink, but these are the type of niche strategies that Team Peps bring, and why Celestial Husk has been such a strong map for them initially. So I think Pulsar are going to have to rethink their Vanguard approach, because the CC from the strategist line from Peps is too good.
Yeah, indeed they are going for a quick rethink. Looks like we're going to see... I would be surprised. Like, Tree Man, obviously, in the name, does love the Groot. And the swap over onto the Wolverine here. There is a world where maybe you try a fastball special team up, but instead Kizaru knows that with Vanguard Deadpool on the team, or at least available in the draft, it could be folly to leave it on the back foot.
Well, Chopagoo. So who is a good person to tackle? It's not going to be an easy choice. And think about this high ground too. If you can bring someone into your team and displace people from these power positions, that's going to be important. But 6 kicks things off.
Okay, Raging Royal Flush already thrown out here for the side of Pulsar, and here it is, Lapsis Atilas on the best hero that they've got in their wheelhouse. The Invisible Woman gets it done, finding 6, and of course it's going to be really dangerous for the Ultron to deal with as well. Those force physics pulls, for lack of escapability for Ultron could be an issue.
You let the Gambit through just to make sure Sabotage's not on the Elsa, and you're paying the ultimate prize. That is such a huge win condition for Pulsar, and to be able to defend with the Groot is so massive, along with the Strangling Prison, and Tree Man's looking for it.
Oh, an early prison here. Knowing where that... Oh, did you see them take the... Oh, I just saw them take the Magneto away. So smart. The only counterplay they had was blocking it with the Magneto's curtain or the bubble, and so you instantly go in for the grab on the Magneto, and it's plain sailing for Tree Man.
I like the strategy, like you said, to get the only thing that could cancel or really defend against the Strangling Prison, because that's #1 thing you got to look out for as a group player. Where are those Magneto bubbles? Where is the shield? And Pulsar are yet behind, halfway down to the cap. Looking forward to seeing how Sabotage and El Chopagoob really deliver some big damage, and here's some picks.
Oh, 6 is going to have trouble surviving this one. Indeed, the burst damage is too much to bear. Maybe that may have been able to move over on to the White Fox, but that Spirit Sanctuary shield is going to be instantly evaporated by the Phoenix Ultimate, and this is the kind of initiative we expected from Pulsar.
Of course, and they can just keep cycling their ultimates. They don't overinvest, and if they need to back away, they'll have the invisible boundary to set up a safe base away from Team Peps, and they're struggling themselves to... Team Peps, speaking of, to gather ultimates because they're just getting wiped before they can form a thought, and this will be their last hurrah for this round.
All Tree Man isolated. In comes the invisible boundary, but healing still not enough. Excellent focus. El Chabagoob manages to find one Vanguard. A quick blast smash into the wall. El Chabagoob is going absolutely goofy right now, and it's Goofy Goober time. I'm certainly ready. I don't know about you. Ready for a round #3 because 97% is ticking on over. There's no chance for a teleport, and Pulsar Esports strike back with a vengeance.
It started with the Gambit, then the Strangling Prison, then now Chopagoob coming alive on the Wolverine, proving that maybe the Wolf could still live on in this meta. It's all about teamwork and execution, and Pulsar played the perfect round, but we decide here and now who will be taking the first map in this best of 3. And Team Peps don't have as strong of a win condition when you don't have the Gambit. Of course, the Rage of Ultron from 6 had the initial good poke damage, but Pulsar surged ahead despite that, completely disrespecting 6. And Pink is the one that's on Phoenix, where usually that's 6's recipe to success. So I love that Pink has been stepping up as a huge carry for Peps, especially from going to Torch to now on the Phoenix. Look for how this end song is going to end this first fight, because there's only the Gambit Royal Flush here for Pulsar to negate it.
It's imperative that Team Peps win the first fight here. We're seeing in the last round just how bad it is when you're going up against a group in these tight spaces, these little caverns. However, it's going to be incredibly difficult. Raging Royal Flush is on the table.
And this is a great round for Flyers, so look at 6 to maybe have an even stronger impact in this one. And even Pink, if you'd want to return to the Torch, I wouldn't even mind. It all depends on how this kicks off. The Royal Flush will ensue.
All right, it's disengageable though. Maybe this one could be answered. Pink going to be using the Ensong Inferno to try and stop them in their tracks, knowing that only lasts for 8 seconds now. Our Chabagoob has lost their passive and lost even more so than that. The Pulsar needs to be stopped before we can get the point. It's going to be an early contest coming through from Frankie Boxing. This is, of course, always going to be the job of the Angela. 6, your beam does not heal. I've got to tell you that right now. You've just got to focus that in on the enemies. Out comes a skill issue from IMLK, I believe, going over likely onto the Gambit on the other side. It's easy to gun on through, and this is exactly what Team Peps needed. A great disengaged play. They're going to chase down Lapsis or Tilas, unlikely to get anything on the backside right here. And while there will be a momentary stall from the group, this is going to make things more difficult for this group to find value off the walls.
And Frankie is having so many good walls, well, not the great walls, but great walls to pin people into, and he's causing so much disruption. Good coordination in that Team Peps fight. I need El Chapagoop to slow it down a bit. He's actually going to be on the Namor, so that'll be a different story than what he was trying to pull on the Wolverine. Just overextended into the caverns, the safety from Team Peps, not knowing what's on the other side. You can't front to back with Wolverine, but you can have more of a defensive posture with the Namor trying to stop these Frankie dives.
Oh, this will be instantly evaporated by Sapatik's ultimate instead. Do they choose to turn it up on the other side? Yeah, that's going to be a quick grab in with the strangling prison, and the follow-up is good. Yeah, I think it's going to get a trade, which might complicate things a touch here for Team Peps. Do they want to try and invest an ultimate to keep this one contested? Indeed, they will. Soul Resurgence from Protoss. Pink's going to get stuck in now, looking towards the backline. Has the Ensong Inferno. Wants everything and takes it even more. Lapsis Atilas falls on down. The damage boost was good. It burns through the invisible boundary.
That's the important part, right? 60% kept the point and destroyed Pulsar in their own invisible barrier. I like that call from Proto. Do not give up. Do not surrender. Pink versus Sapatik. Who is going to take the round and who is going to carry their team to victory? The fate of both worlds and fate in Peps' hands on how they want to get active this fight as Treeman lurks below on the Angela.
Treeman once again forced onto a different hero. The Angela's going to be the one to see here, but you can see that El Chabagoob's being accosted on their moving forward right here. Kizaru just going to be exchanging battles, and it's going to be a really fast S-rank achieved here for Kizaru off the back of the Raging Royal Flush. Still, the answer's solid. It's going to be lasting longer. Baby Bat, that was a 4-person stun from Sapatik. Absolutely nutso mode over here. Quick double stab. Frankie Boxing is at least making their presence known on the point, but the real fight's happening in the backline right now. The Dive's trying to get value. Frankie Boxing can't win a 2 versus 1, and Team Peps will get out relatively unscathed.
And 0 to 100 is what Pulsar have to do to salvage this map. And Treeman realizing that off the Groot, you just can't sustain pressure. You can't mitigate it as well. Match fire with fire and match Frankie at his own game. But he is the best in the business when it comes to Angela. They don't call him Frankie Boxing for nothing, but the devil is out.
The devil is out, but Pink says, I'm going to put that one back in, cuz. Treeman has gone too deep as well, trying to support that one. Really wanted a hard commit. Lapsis Otilas back on the Jeff, just trying for a little bit of additional survivability. Pink needs to dodge away from the incoming fire. Sapatik is looking very, very well managed here. Going in towards the back, once Baby Bat finds her, and that means with a lot of healings now off the table for Team Peps. Now Chabagoob has returned with a lot of his healing gone. It's feasting time for El Chabagoob. It's Jeff ready to eat up anyone who tries to keep this one contested. And so Team Peps, they're just going to call it.
Yeah, Peps just need a soft reset here after Baby Bat and Pink have fallen and Pulsar have invested enough. It's a good call from Team Peps. That is what's strong about them. The timing of their disengages, because El Chapagoop sometimes chases those eliminations, and that could be really punishable. So Peps, this is just one fight for the end.
Supernova from Pink. Tree Man there trying to drop them out of the sky, but doesn't have full charge on the axis. Oh, misses the hot drop, but still doesn't miss Chabagoob. Spinning to win, and winning's on the cards right here. Kizaru has to try and stand alone, but gets burned to a crisp. But Char Broil is a beautiful flavor profile for Pink, and indeed they might be feasting tonight in the Peps mansion, as they will be able to get the cap here. It's going to be a last-second recontest coming through from El Chabagoob with the portal. Quick debarking onto a point, and great cover off the back of it as well. But straight away, Frankie Boxing is there to meet them. Drops down from the sky, extra health for all and sundry. Protoss knows that this is the end. It's time to resurge in terms of soul. Six desperately needs to get a little bit of additional ult charge here. Baby Bat and Six are right on the edge. They've lost Protoss. It needs to be a clutch from Team Peps, and getting El Chabagoob into the middle of their team might be exactly what they needed. Pulsar are nowhere close to any ults. Only Lapsis Atilas really has a chance to try and make this one work, but Frankie Boxing continues to land blow after blow. Right hook into uppercut. Swift as a butterfly and stinging like a bee, and in towards the back. It's Legend who feels himself for Sting. Pink going down into the Vanguards, getting stuck in nice and close. Protoss comes with a quick return, and with all of the ultimates levied, Team Peps will be going to be able to make this one happen. The first map, Celestial Husk, will go their way.
That was so winnable for Pulsar at the end. Let me go. They teleport in. They actually zoned Peps off the point. You have Proto on the Mantis frontlining. You had to pick on a strategist, but they just couldn't kind of keep control of the chaos. Pulsar was just that close. And of course, Pink as your MVP, stepping up as that carry. The Torch, the Phoenix, the triple elimination that he got through Pulsar's invisible boundary. Like, it's not just the damage and the numbers, it's the impact, and that was felt in the server by Pink.
All right, good to see Peps finally getting rewarded for all of their innovation and effort put in. And once again, Europe is seeing the rise of Mantis. We're seeing Gambit left on the table. Elsa still locked away in the box even after losing 25 base HP. I don't know how much our two first matches are going to be hearkening things to come, but as we come back from a week of scrims after our first week of preseason, maybe teams felt, you know what, this damage boost is kind of some serious business, and it seems right now the meta is crystallizing towards Mantis Cap.
Yeah. And Pulsar, it's just the decision-making, too, of just how far they wanted to reach in some of these fights, because in that last round, there's these very defensive caverns that exist, and it felt like people like El Chabagoob and others really tried to scoop up the defenders from their safe haven and to force them into fights that they weren't ready for, but the punishing power from Peps is what took a lot of these fights that were gifted to them to bad decision-making from the divers. But I like the swaps that Pulsar brought, but Peps had better execution and better pop-off power.
Well, I'm very impressed with Tree Man as well. Like, the comeback on that group Wolverine combo definitely is going to be something that we're going to want to watch out for, in particular on those more linear maps like a Convergence or a Convoy, which of course is where we're going to be able to go next. As it is going to be the choice of Pulsar, I wouldn't mind seeing them pick something like a Midtown where the group can really excel, maybe an Yggdrasil path. We'll be able to find out what's chosen after this break.
Welcome back, everyone. From that heater of a matchup, we've got to see Pink just electric on all of the fire heroes. We saw the Phoenix, we saw the Torch, and we saw them bring the heat throughout that first map on Celestial Husk. 20 final hits is insanity, but I think another stat line that kind of goes underrated is how involved, Lemon, the entire team of Peps was on getting those confirmations of the eliminations, which seemed to be a big difference between these two squads.
And you got the best server in the business, Frankie Boxing, who comes and just serves it up to you on a platter as the Angela to watch. And I think that's so strong on Celestial Husk. And depending on what round, he's even more elusive than ever. And then someone like Treeman had to match band for band and really suffered. At least you did get the swaps, right? You're not too stubborn. The Groot was getting run over, but you just can't execute the Angela the way that that Frankie can. Then you had 21 deaths from the two Vanguards on the Pulsar side, so it just shows the amount of focus and the amount of damage that they were taking throughout these fights.
So much sustain as well that we got to see from Team Peps, just based on the composition that they were rocking, and also having that Mantis gap, as we like to call it now, leg day. That seemed to be another big difference maker here. And Pulsar, they had it available to them. It wasn't even banned, but it just seems like maybe it doesn't fit into their composition or playstyle as well as they would like.
Yeah, no one-sided Mantis. Like, I don't know if that's because maybe Sabotic or El Chabagoob just doesn't play the Mantis. Like, it is a little bit of a specialty aiming style, which takes a little bit of a whole lot of practice to be able to happen. But like having that tertiary strategist ultimate is so important as well. I think the real turning point of this entire match was when everyone on Peps followed the command of Protoss. Lemon was telling us about how like they're down and, well, it's invest or don't invest here. There's no right answer at the moment, but when Protoss makes the call, we're going to go in with the Soul Resurgence, and they layer in on top of that the Ensong Inferno as well to try and deal with the counter ultimate, knowing that, hey, if I just load my Phoenix up with damage boost, because that's all she needs when I've got like all the healing pumping out from Soul Resurgence, right? I'm just going to load her up with the damage boost seeds, and maybe we'll be able to break our way through this invisible boundary they're going to have to use to take this point when we use our Soul Resurgence. Like, everyone on Peps was on the same page with that, and sometimes it's just clarity of vision more than like strength of character, which really is going to be what wins the day.
If they do come out on top, I'd be very interested to just ask them, like, who controls, you know, the comms on their team specifically, because it seemed like they had that on lock, communication at the level that you need it to be. But Lemon, we were kind of talking about potential maps we could have seen as the counter, and Midtown seems a little bit surprising here.
Yeah, just losing that first map. Usually they go to Museum of Contemplation, Spider Island Convoy, even a Racco Convoy, but just haven't had the results that they would have hoped for. So Midtown, a really narrow alley. Maybe we could see the rise of Treeman as the Tree Lord, and because Groot is really strong at this first section of the map because it's so narrow and get a lot more impact. We just had a lesson from Ducky about what that looks like, so I'm looking for Tree to own the Ducky persona.
Yeah, maybe a little bit better too in those like kind of cordoned off rooms from the play style that we like to witness from El Chabagoob with either the DD or the Wolverine as well. It seemed like because of how open-ended the last map was, they weren't able to get as much effectiveness in confirming some of those KOs, so could be a little bit better here for them. Also depends on composition. I think Triple Strategist works pretty well though for Team Peps, so they're kind of happy. Midtown is one of those maps that teams have scrimmed the most out of any convoy map, so you gotta make sure you have the best strategy, the best kind of roster of heroes you can play going into this one. And I would say the big thing to focus on, the Mantis ban. If it doesn't come out and we see the immediate secure from Team Peps, well, we might see a similar story here leg day than we did in the last map.
Yeah, like the Mantis story is definitely going to be something. I do think that the Midtown pick makes sense when you consider the Vanguard matchup here, because this is great for Groot, which is Treeman's primary, and it's also not a great map for Angela. Like, this doesn't have the best Angela angles, and I think we can all agree that in the previous game it definitely felt like Frankie Boxing was the more effective Angela player, if not the better Angela player. I think maybe trying to constrain Frankie into a more terra firma bound Vanguard might be important.
One thing to note here, too, going into this matchup, Pulsar have opted for the attacking side this go-around, so that's definitely important to pay attention to when it comes to the bans and protects, because they get that first protect, they can't get double banned, so we might see a focus on the Gambit if it gets through, or even the Elsa, depending on what the priority is from Team Peps. And I feel like, based on this meta, we've seen so many more teams going towards sticking on the attacking side first for the counter map instead of the defending side, but we'll see what happens. Team Peps, they did select that defending side. Pulsar will be attacking it this go around, and they're pretty happy about that. We'll see how it goes, though, for the ban and protects here, Lemon.
All right, let's head on in. Map number 2, Team Peps, for the first time in the preseason, have themselves a series lead. And it's going to be Pulsar Esports with the first ban here already, hovering over on the Elsa. But the question is, do you want to keep prioritizing this if you know that maybe it's going to be a Mantis coming through on the other side? Yeah, of course. Keep Elsa in the box, but we'll keep her locked away for now.
And Frankie's backup plan, since we're not expecting the Angela here, would be a Magneto. So really working in tandem with someone like IMLK, who's been superb on the Deadpool, the Groot, the Venom. Like, IMLK has shown a lot of flexibility, but I want to see a masterclass from this Vanguard line, because I did feel like the Angela setups were great, but what other looks can we see from Peps going forward?
All right, real question is here, is it once again going to be a protector of the Mantis, or are they going to pivot on to the Gambit? Because we know that 6 here might be tempted to move over from the Ultron onto something like a Phoenix, or even something like a Moon Knight, which could really take advantage of the long sight lines that are over here on Midtown. So it makes sense that they might go for a double strategist line with the Gambit as the main healer.
I'm scared of Pulsar having another Gambit game, though, because the one round they took on Celestial Husk, that 100-0, was momentum driven by a Gambit fight starter, if you will. So, but, you know, this is not domination, but that is such a huge part of getting wind in the sails and having almost a guaranteed win condition. But Peps, what was so good about them macro-wise in that first map was how and when they disengaged and almost forcing these errors out of Pulsar and that greediness to chase those eliminations.
Is there a world where maybe they protect the Star-Lord here? Like, Gambit Star-Lord, obviously, one of the most deadly ult combos in the game, but instead it looks like they are going to maybe oh, hello. The oracles. Did I read the tea leaves? Oh, the Gambit Star-Lord combo. This demands a mag in response, I think, with the Meteor M, which could be ideal for trying to force Tree Man off of their better hero. I wouldn't mind seeing the Invis get counterbanned here from Team Peps if Pulsar take it away as well, just to try and get rid of the main ways you can try and stop the poke from Star-Lord, using that Guardian Shield to win out on the off-angle fights.
And 6 has shown us a little bit of Star-Lord, but there's such large hero pools on the side of Peps when it comes to their duelists, and like I said, have been very unique with sometimes bringing out the Psylocke and, like we said, the Torch. So you never know what you're gonna get when you face Team Peps. But what other teams have realized is that you can still beat them at their own game, because Peps have yet to win a series, but they are on the verge of doing just that against Pulsar and keeping themselves alive in the standings, while Pulsar are on elimination.
So the curious thing here as well is that even without a protector on either side, Mantis has once again made it through the ban phase untouched. I like the taking away of the Vanguard Deadpool there, the skill issue. It will decimate a Star-Lord due to his high rate of fire. If he misses even a single bullet in the clip, each one of those counts as a full-on miss and does a bunch of damage to him. That's a great way to try and constrain, especially something like a Gambit as well. Skill issue on Gambit, if he misses one of his cards in the 3-card spread, that counts as a miss as well. So I think getting parity on the Vanguard pool is a good priority here for Team Peps.
And just how many strats are we going to get? Not strategies, strategists, because that's made a huge difference for a team like Pulsar, who run a lot of the 2-2-2 and things like that. But sometimes if you're on defense, it warrants having something like a rocket or a third strategist just to be able to stall out as much as possible. So we'll focus on the defensive comps. They're more settled in on what they want to do, and Baby Bat covering her choices here with Rocket, having that BRB. You get a little bit of forgiveness, especially if, I don't know, someone like Sapatic headshots your backline. So it's always good to have a Band-Aid.
Yeah, the Battle Recall Beacon going to be important, as well as Pink having access to that Karmic Revival as well. So Pulsar Esports are going to have to very carefully manage both their space and their resource usage here to get effective fights and deal with the resurrections that could be on the table.
Got the Rogue, the Gambit, the lovely couple hoping to break up the Team Peps front line. Just got the mitts out ready to squabble up, and Peps can rely on Frankie, and he's always known to have the perfect moment to strike and barely misses that shove.
All right, getting involved now with the actions of I-Course, but it won't stay down for long. Oh, just a quick mwah with Kizaru as they roll on her. Just kiss her homie on the mouth.
So many homies and so little time, but Pulsar have sectioned off the fight, and they have sent Kizaru to do the job for them.
All right, having that wall up behind them makes things very difficult, and Protoss going to be the first one to fall. Question is the Battle Recall Beacon available? I don't think it is. And so everyone else from Team Peps just has to force themselves onto the cart and get these last-minute recontests.
You got to be able to break those Groot walls down and have a strong poke, and I don't know if I would consider Team Peps having the strongest poke when you got a triple Vanguard, but what's nice about Rogue is that she doesn't care. If anything, you put her in a boxing match, you put her in a boxing ring, if you wall her, she will be happy to be trapped in there with you. Quick portal play as 6 brings the team back for a final fight.
All right, that's going to be instantly broken down. No one can really shoot the Insong Inferno to try and save Baby Bat's Cosmic Yarn Amplifier. Good dodge here from Protoss. Question is, can Lapsus Satilas get away with the It's healing? Seems like that's going to be the case, because those who would have assailed them are going to be quite quickly taken down by Tree Man, who really is thriving here on the Groot, and Pink couldn't even find any chance of using their own resurrection. So this has collapsed very quickly for Peps.
The Groot walls are so fantastic from Tree, and he's allowed to choose when and where the fight is going to take place. They'll capture point A, and they banked up so many ults to keep the rally going, mainly that Strangling Prison. But Pink needs to find the right time and the right place for that Karmic Revival to give another chance at life and fighting here for Team Peps.
Six needs a moment here. Quick breather to try and get access to that ultimate. Oh, the quick amplification. That's going to be the cleansing of the anti-heals on the other side. Not sure where Tree Man's ultimate has gone. Likely on the left-hand side of your screen as we pan over towards it rather slowly. Pink in the corner brings up the Karmic Revival. Tree Man has found them in the midst of all of this, and a couple more players are walled off as well. The Devil Unleashed put back in, some might say, as El Shabagu falling low. All of this healing is going to be more than enough to try and deal with the onslaught brought on by Matthew Murdoch himself. And Lapsus Satilas just forced to flee away. The Finn gets broken down by Cosmic Clusters, and now it is going to be an unassisted ult for 6.
This is just not a part of the map that you want to get stalled out on for Pulsar. It's that choke point that's so annoying to get through. Attacking with Groot is not easy as well. And Pulsar, they had good initiative, but it's the counteraction. The Raging Royal Flush and Pink and bringing back those 2 members is what kept Team Peps rather flawless towards the end. So Pulsar Esports are gonna be harassed by this high ground poke.
Dude, Pink is a nasty aimer, and it looks like 6 might be holding on. No, never mind. One stab it real bad. You can see they were just knocked up into the sky there by IMLK at just the right moment to make sure they could not get into cover. I said that White Fox is the only strategist who can 1v1, but Daredevil, never mind, actually. If you're Pink, I'm pretty sure you can do it.
The strategists, they defend, they heal, but they also attack. And man, if your Daredevil can't even take a 1v1 against an Atom, I fear it's so cooked. Also, Peps are just getting picks from the high ground. Pulsar need a commanding way to pressure it, and here comes Kizaru to force Peps back.
Insong Inferno prepared, going to be going down on top of the dive from Kizaru. A great tenderization to land, followed by the Charbroil itself. Quick bounce moving over. Frankie Boxing unable to get anything with the Meteor M, and Frankie Boxing just going to be punished for such audacious positioning now as they floated imperiously above it all. The Empire crumbles like the Romans as the medieval times began to rise, and IMLK's down 2.
And Kizaru really solidified that fight. Just, you got to get Peps off that power position. And it was a recipe for success. And Pulsar have banked so important ultimates for this final fight of point B. Look for the Strangling Prison, but they'll see what they'll get with this Royal Flush.
Oh, maybe that's not going to be able to claim too much space here. Oh, what a perfect bubble. Unbelievable stuff there from Frankie Boxing, making sure that Babybat cannot be grabbed out of the AoE. A 5-person usage of a Raging Royal Flush. Protoss getting maximum value from this one. Kizaru thought they could shut it down. They could not be more incorrect about the value of the Feast of the Abyss. And now Pulsar Esports are going to be caught in a very nasty position. The end of second is so difficult to take.
They are disengaging quite well from the Raging Royal Flush from Proto, but Pulsar would like to be able to clap back. It'll come down to Sapatic as El Chapagoob smells blood in the water, but he just needs to be careful. He needs help to deal with these strategies. We saw how Pink was able to fend for themselves, and that will be priority one to deny this Karmic Revival.
Okay, once again, going to be easy pickings here for 6. Everyone hiding away inside of a healing pool of the Jeff, and Frankie Boxing able to bubble themselves. Nice dodges from everyone. Most of the FCC team only grabs their own team due to a nice fade that came out from a cloak and dagger. Sapatic on the off angle, easily able to try and farm down these Vanguards moving forward, letting the Devil out. They're caught within a nice grouped ultimate, and it seems that El Chabagoob once again has found the Devil within, unleashing it, and well, the tendrils of evil, they grab into the flesh of Team Peps and secure a second point.
I like this tug of war that Pulsar is doing. They've really decided to balance the aggression that they almost had too much of on Celestial Husk and have been able to tilt the scales in their favor. Got to be careful of these Jeff ultimates, though, because the Groot can mitigate it with a good Ironwood wall. Frankie can bubble, and Pink is on the prowl and is able to slow Pulsar down from the entry.
I mean, Pink showing off some real versatility here, but caught in a dark alley against Matthew Murdoch. There are much better places to be than that.
And Pulsar, they just want to be able to punish Pink if they overextend, but Kizaru, he's hungry.
Yeah, it's answered deep already by the Eternal Bond coming out from Babybat. Pink manages to find Tree Man and hidden low. The rest of his team disengaged, like, you know what, have the tree, but let me live.
This is not a fun part of the map to try and break out of your own spawn, because the defense can see you leave spawn and poke you to your grave. And especially with the Venom, you need a little bit of higher ceilings than that, but the Gambit will bail you out.
All right, Frankie Boxing, what can they do with the Meteor? Right? Oh, it's straight to the deflect! Unbelievable from Chabagoob. This guy is cooking right now. However, he's cooked on the other side. The extra damage from the Raging Royal Flush means that you still can't stand up to it, but I'll applaud the skill when I see it. 6 trying to disengage. Chapatic says, absolutely not, my son. I have no designs like that one. Looking in towards the Strange, just wants to get rid of that backline, giving us IMLK is forced in to just stop the cart momentarily.
Could be a good point for an It's Jeff ultimate from Lapsus. You got that drop off at the back left side, and it's the last 30 seconds to have a say, and Sapatic looks for an explosive start and doesn't get it.
Unbelievable stuff. Lepsis and Telos already taken on down Chabagoob. Can they get out of here? A righteous cross, a quick duck and weave, but Pink's accuracy is far too high for this. 13 seconds remain, and now you've got to start considering, do we need to use a portal to get back on this? Tree Man's had to give up so much space.
The off-angling from Pink has been huge. Tree is getting farmed for every ounce of ult charge that they have, but Pulsar have got them weak.
And that's going to be the dance of the butterflies. El Chabagoob is in it alone, has to tank it all by themselves up above. The Galactic Legends see Lapsus Atilas cannot live for even more than a second as they're taken down by a frenzied arrival. The portal will surely be too late as Tree Man tries to set it up, and it's a midway through. You can see that Team Peps still had 2 strategist ultimates ready to go to try and defend that one. I think it was cooked either way for Pulsar, but it's not unwinnable.
The bank was healthy for Team Peps. The difference between the 2 Feast of Abyss that we saw between Kizaru and IMLK is that one had duelist ultimates to pile on top. The other one got piled on. IMLK with the Feast plus the Dance of the Butterflies and everything that was left, even a Galactic Legend just for the cherry on top. Team Peps had a great final stand, but could have even stopped Pulsar at point B even. I think there was a real chance to make this an even shorter push, so this is very achievable for Pulsar. They fixed up a lot of their macro errors that they were making back on Celestial Husk and are not so antsy, so greedy. They really are working well as a team, and El Chapagoob, despite not being flawless, he is getting more help on these guys towards the strategist line. And there's coordination around the Gambit Royal Flushes that Pulsar are leaning towards those initial win conditions and helping and using that as their approach mechanic so that they can actually set El Chapagoob for success.
Interestingly here, Team Peps are going to be able to walk out with Six and Protoss on both the Star-Lord and the Gambit, so they are going to be able to sync up their ultimates a little bit better. They had conspicuous desync on the defense because, of course, Six had started off on a Vanguard and so was unable to carry through enough ult charge onto the Star-Lord to really be able to sync up with Protoss all the time, but it still worked out.
I wouldn't even mind the Wolverine because when there's a fight on the high ground, if you're able to split people off, bring them to the main street, that could really cause that first elimination to go through. And oh, Six is sneaky with it.
Six taking down Sabatek, and now just has control of his high ground. Look at the high ground control that Team Peps have right now. Absolutely uncontested. These Vanguards are in a very dangerous position because when you have control of that high ground, you can just force the strategists so far back and break that line of sight. Seems like there's no end in sight here. They want to try and get Chabagoob and get rid of that passive. Well, there may have been a rocket jump pack to try and cheese something there. Well, Chabagoob only gives up their life to make it happen.
Gotta wait for everyone from Pulsar to be alive for this portal play. You need all 6 to be available. Now Chopagoob's back on the Wolverine. Look out for these tackles and look out for Pulsar's final stand here for point A.
Eyes on Protoss and Six as well. That's going to be a deadly ult combo if it can't be dealt with by Kizaru on the other side. Pink trying to disengage, but staying close to Treeman to continually generate that fury. Righteous Cross after Righteous Cross for slows the thick and fast as well. Chabagoob on the other side. Pink moving in towards the back. The dive is good. Can they get Lapsis or Tilas? Or even get the Gambit? That would be even better. But with no Sonic Pursuit ready to go just yet. They're waiting for a second play. Here comes Six ready to go. This is the old combo we were talking about. If only they want to use it. But I think the damage has already been done. 3 players are down, so Six just saves the ultimate, and it's going to be Gambit saving the day.
Yeah, Proto used it as soon as he earned it. They don't want to waste a precious second. They're able to save the rest of their ultimates for the marathon. This is now no longer a sprint. Momentum needs to be held here to see if you can have a better time bank for point C than Pulsar had. So I'd love to see some initiative. Team Peps are already in a position to do just that. They'll have Frankie on the front lines, but also because of the Daredevil from El Chapagoob is disrespecting Frankie, using his batons to beat Frankie into his grave despite the shields being up.
Raging Royal Flush for an early engage here, but disengage not quite fast enough from Six. Didn't have the right pathing. The remainder of Peps, I was going to say they're a touch luckier, but El Chapagoob says that their luck has run out. Even while blinded, it does nothing to Matt Murdoch. He can't even tell.
And that's why the initiative there was important from Team Peps. You don't want to let Pulsar pull the trigger on these ultimates, namely that Raging Royal Flush. But Team Peps, they have a lot in the bank, but they need to get this Galactic Legend into a position on the high ground. So look for IMLK to dislodge Pulsar from this power position for Six to really unleash. But the invisible boundary could be a nuisance.
Oh, this a little bit early, going to be combined with the Feast of the Abyss, and Baybat is forced to answer this one. Despite losing Pink, the Eternal Bond gives lots of space for Peps to try and work with on the bottom, and now that the invisible boundary is brought up, keep your eyes on Six. The second that one goes down, Six is going to have an option to try and make it happen. Protoss already down. Frankie boxing dragged on in by a strangling prison. And Treeman decided that, you know what, we need to end this fight here and now.
A huge pick from El Chapagoob, too, to shut down Six before he could unleash with that Galactic Legend. We were keeping our eyes, and his vision faded to black. And just love, of course, the end song from Pulsar, just to get kind of Team Peps on the edge of their seats to make them feel like they had to fight instead of maybe just take some cover. As now Team Peps, again, no invisible boundary to stop someone like Six, and he's got the Royal Flush with him.
Okay, Six should be decimating everyone right now. There's no real shields to make it happen. Pink's finding the final blows, but the forced disengagement is giving over so much space. They would love to get Legend on the way out. That would give them even more time waiting for that second strategist to respawn.
IMLK and Pink are syncing up so well, and be able to focus down these targets before they can replenish and get back to their strategist. But the job's not done, and we're knowing there's a flanker back here. Guys, he's caught wall hack for a reason, and Team Peps may just think about taking a 6v5 fight before that flank really develops. But Team Peps need to make a decision fast.
Okay, coming in from the back, Frankie Boxing floats above it all. Lapsus is just instantly gone. All of the strategists have evaporated under the pressure that Pink brings to this one. Tree Man can't deal with the double batons, the Billy clubs, the bully clubs, and it's bullying for certain. He's just a little Flora Colossus. He can't deal with all this damage, and it has to be Legend coming back quickly with the portal. Someone else has to swap over onto a strategist here. Maybe you can try and make it happen, but no. Instead, they just reset the other way.
Strong time bank going into the final push as well, and Team Peps can kick off with the Eternal Bond, which really lays down the path to victory, and Pulsar need to find a way to stop it. Of course, the Raging Royal Flush has been a guaranteed fight for Pulsar every single time, and Lapsus ain't wasting time.
Yeah, no time wasted right here. Instantly in towards the back line. Here comes the Phoenix, but it's a little bit shallow as it has been everyone hiding inside for now. Frankie Boxing's going to be the only one to fall, but the rest of Team Peps back off, and now Pulsar can set up on this choke.
And a spawn camp here is very possible when you're able to have a Groot that can wall people up and even strangling prison. But Baby Bat just needs to not get caught by that. But that Eternal Bond is not going to be effective. But here's the Raging Royal Flush from Proto.
Moving in once again. Great grab onto 6, but the damage is too much. The Tree Man can't sustain through the extra damage that's given on over. It's the Righteous Cross after Righteous Cross. He's so mobile. He's so difficult to dissuade from this one. But the entire time, Kizaru stopped the cart from moving forward, so there will be another fight.
The good communication from Peps on these Raging Royal Flushes. They break out a spawn and they make things swift, and they have more win conditions in tow. And then again, that Eternal Bond plus the Galactic Legend. You don't have a strangling prison that you have to worry about. You just need to command the space that you have. This is for the win.
Galactic Legend up above, unable to convert here onto Bayback, keeps herself alive for now. And while the Groot isn't the optimal target here, seems like it's the only one that 6 can find. Pink goes too far, caught by a Spore Bomb, and 6 has gone too far as well. What a pull coming through from Legend. Midway through that spin, there was no way to try and cancel that one out, and Team Peps was overextended and punished.
Tree said, "You're trapped in here with me, bud," and that is a great way to deal with a melee brawler like the Daredevil. The hesitation from Baby Bat on how to really carve out that path when there's so many Groot walls in your way, but surely this will be the fight to rule them all. Only a minute left though, and this is still anyone's game.
Shabagoo, an attempt at a mugging, but it's just going to let the devil out in response, binding all who are near. Stay within Baby Bat's ultimate though, and you shall remain safe. Counters coming on in. Everything is going to be deployed. Frankie Boxing above it all. Finds the Legend, stops the ult. The healing is all gone. With Sapatic and Tree Man down now, it's desperation for Pulsar, but I think they're all out of options. They don't have anyone who's going to be up in time to try and get the quick contest. Lapsus has an ultimate ready to go and might have to use it just to get the additional movement speed over towards the point. It's a race for a contest with Tree Man moving through, but they can't make it in time, and Team Peps sweep the series.
Peps is coordinating so well on those ultimates near the end. The Eternal Bond against the invisible boundary, but it's the teamwork that makes the dream work, especially where that box of victory, that finish line was for Team Peps. Forced Pulsar into such an uncomfortable position to fight closer than they would have hoped, and the closer you are, the more you are in reach to something like a Daredevil. Which, El Chapago versus Pink, I could watch that 1v1 all day, but only one stood out, and I would say Pink was, at least in terms of the final hits. The damage tells a different story, but Pink, how he coordinated with IMLK, is what decided a lot of these fights in the neutral.
Yeah, it definitely felt like Pink and IMLK were a dynamic duo when it came to those dives. Lapsus and Say Legend, they were consistently under assault. Lapsus walking away with 10 casualties. We can bring Vod back in here to see how he felt about that series, and we certainly are going to have plenty to talk about.
Yeah, there is so much to yap about with this one, specifically leg day. I mean, the big difference I would say between these two teams in this final map was having the one-sided Star-Lord. That is just, you can't allow that to happen, especially when there's a Gambit on the field available to Team Peps. And Team Peps seem to just have the composition locked down. So congrats to them for getting their first win, of course, keeping the dream alive, for making it into that group stage. And unfortunately for Pulsar, talking about that, they won't be making it into the group stage.